Here I was, captivated by the allure of an influencer named Karen. Little did I know her promises of financial freedom would lead me down a dark and deceitful path. Karen influencer scams fans for $932,843,293 worth of Bitcoin. Here's how it all went down. Hey there, I'm Alex, and I've got quite the story to tell you. It all started about a year ago when I stumbled upon this influencer, Karen. She was everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. She had this charisma, you know? People just couldn't get enough of her. She talked about finance, Bitcoin, and making money online. I was intrigued, not gonna lie. I mean, who wouldn't be? She was promising financial freedom, and who doesn't want that? So I started following her, watching her videos, and reading her posts. She had this way of making everything sound so easy and promising. Invest in Bitcoin and watch your money grow, she'd say. And the crazy part? People were actually doing it. They were investing their hard-earned money because Karen said so. I remember this one live stream she did. She was talking about this exclusive opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of deal. Invest now and you'll double your money in a month, she claimed. The chat was going wild. People were throwing in their life savings, all because Karen said it was a good idea. I was tempted, I won't lie. The thought of easy money was appealing, but something in the back of my mind was telling me this was too good to be true. So, I decided to dig a little deeper. I spent days, no weeks, researching Bitcoin, investments, and scams. And the more I dug, the more I realized that Karen's promises were too good to be true. There were red flags everywhere. No investment can guarantee returns, especially not in the volatile world of cryptocurrency. And then, it hit me. Karen was scamming her fans. She was taking their money and running. I couldn't believe it. I had been so close to falling for it myself. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit back and watch as people lost their life savings. So I started gathering evidence, screenshots of her promises, testimonials from her victims, anything and everything that could prove she was a scammer. Once I had everything I needed, I took it to the internet. I made posts, videos, and tweets exposing Karen for who she really was. At first, people didn't believe me. They called me a hater, a jealous fan. But I didn't back down. I knew I had the truth on my side. And slowly, people started to listen. They began sharing their own stories, their own experiences with Karen's scams. The tide was turning. Karen, of course, denied everything. She called me a liar, a fraud. But I had the evidence, and people were starting to see through her lies. It took time, but eventually Karen's empire crumbled. Her followers left, her sponsors dropped her, and she disappeared from the internet. I don't know what happened to her after that, and frankly, I don't care. I had done what I set out to do. I had exposed the truth. Looking back, I realized how close I came to falling for her scam. It was a wake-up call. A reminder that not everything that glitters is gold. I learned to be more critical, to question things, and not to take everything at face value. So that's my story. A tale of scams, lies, and the power of the truth. It's a crazy world out there, and you've got to be careful who you trust. Remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Stay safe, stay skeptical, and don't let the Karens of the world take you for a ride. That's insane. I can't believe people like Karen actually exist, scamming innocent folks for their hard-earned money. Thanks for sharing this story, Alex. It's a reminder to always stay vigilant and do our research before jumping into any investment. Stay safe, everyone. All the names are changed for privacy. My cousin Victoria, who is 34 years old and a doctor, is engaged to Victor, who is 25 years old and also a doctor. They have been engaged for 2 years and are finally getting married this Saturday. The wedding will include both religious and civil ceremonies, followed by a reception. They have a mutual friend named Emily, who is 34 years old and also a doctor. Emily will be one of the bridesmaids. You can probably guess what happened. Last Friday, Victoria had her bachelorette party. We started the day with a spa day out of town, and then returned to the city to go to a fancy club, but we never made it to the club. After returning from the spa, we went to Emily's house to get changed before going out. At some point, Victoria suddenly announced that she was feeling sick and locked herself in the bathroom. My first thought was that something she ate didn't agree with her. About an hour later, I managed to coax her out of the bathroom, and she asked me to take her home. As the maid of honor, it's my responsibility to take care of her. I called an Uber and took her to my place, where she told me everything. While we were getting dressed, Victoria was in the kitchen and saw a notification from her fiancé on Emily's phone. She had left her phone to charge there. At first, she thought it might be a surprise planned for her, but then she received another message with a more romantic tone, and then another and another. That's when she got sick and ran to the bathroom. I stayed with her through Friday evening and most of Saturday. Saturday evening, I dropped her at her place after she made me promise I wouldn't say a word to anyone. I agreed because I thought she wanted to end things in her own terms. Sunday and Monday were silent, and everything seemed to be moving forward. Today, Tuesday, was out makeup trial, just the two of us, and she told me what happened with Victor. Victoria told him nothing and waited for him to fall asleep. Unblocked his phone and checked it in the bathroom. She found the conversation with Emily's messages and began to read back to the top. They've been together for 6 months, and she's pregnant. She's urging Victor not to marry Victoria and marry her instead. Victoria took a bunch of screenshots but only showed me the one where Emily told Victor she was pregnant and a few of the ones where she begs him not to marry my cousin. I begged her again to cancel everything and tell our family why, but she insisted there's going to be a wedding and that I should trust her. I'm scared for her. How do I stop her? Victoria convinced her dad and 2 cousins to join Victor, his dad, and the groomsmen for a camping trip on Thursday and Friday as a men's thing. She also asked me to visit her on Friday with a friend who is a vet. He has a horse trailer for 1 horse only, so she requested us to bring it along if it's clean and available. Since Victor and Victoria got engaged, they have been living together. Now she's moving out her belongings. She also said, those two are going to end up happy together over my dead body. The wedding plans are proceeding as usual. On Friday, her belongings will be taken out, and on Saturday morning, the bride's side will get ready at the apartment. Victor will return to his parents' house on Friday evening and prepare there on Saturday. Those who speculated about revenge were correct. My uncle, dad, and a bunch of cousins took Victor, his dad, and groomsmen to a town a couple of hours away next to this camping park. This was Thursday afternoon, and after they left, I went to pick up Victoria, and she spent the night at my place. Next morning, my friend, let's call him Jack, came by with his horse trailer and a bunch of boxes. We spent the day packing and cleaning every trace of Victoria of the apartment. The rental contract is in Victor's name, so my cousin won't be affected by leaving. We loaded everything on Jack's trailer, which wasn't much because the furniture belonged to Victor, but it was all her books, clothing, toiletries, shoes. We left only the wedding things behind. He was going to be waiting for us at the back of the venue because Victoria didn't want to stay after she was done with Victor. I also caught Jack loosening a few light bulbs at random just to mess with Victor. He hates cheaters. Victoria's things are currently sitting in Jack's office, and Victoria again came to sleep at my place. For this, Victoria had asked me to buy and wrap for present a pair of baby shoes, which I was to keep until the reception. Saturday morning shows up, and we left early for the apartment to get ready. The makeup artist and stylists arrive, my aunt arrives, and the bridesmaids arrive, including Emily. We maid of honor and bridesmaids finished before the bride and I send them downstairs to the building lobby so we can surprise them with the finished look of Victoria. After she was ready, we went downstairs, and when the elevator doors opened, my eyes went straight to Emily. The other girls were all celebrating and clapping and hugging Victoria. It was just seconds, but I saw her face fell, and her eyes get shiny before she composed herself and hugged everyone pretending to be happy. We all took a picture in the garden across the street from the building and then headed out to the church. We meet the rest of the wedding party there, we do the groom's first look, the pictures, and all that jazz. Victoria sent everyone inside to take places and asks me and Emily to come with her to this little chapel outside to fix something in Emily's dress. That was the moment when Victoria decided to lay all her cards on the table, confronting Emily in a way that left everyone in shock. I had my phone out, recording the entire scene, though I made a mental note to myself that I would never share this footage. It was too personal, too raw. Victoria, with a calm yet stern voice, began, "I'm glad you're here, Emily. I brought you here to tell you that I know everything. I know about the affair between you and my fiancé. I know you're pregnant, and the baby is Victor's. I've known since Friday evening." Emily, caught off guard and visibly shaken, stammered, "What are you going to do? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you do anything?" Victoria, maintaining her composure, responded, "Because I wanted us to get to this point. I wanted you to see me in my wedding dress, about to marry the man you claim to love. I wanted to make sure you understand that even though you're carrying his child, he will never choose you over me. He may want you for a fling, but he wants me for life." With that, Emily broke down, apologizing before running out of the chapel, tears streaming down her face. She was pale and visibly upset. I didn't know where she went, and frankly, I didn't care. Victoria, on the verge of breaking down herself, managed to hold it together. I left her for a moment to inform the rest of the bridal party that she needed some time, explaining that Emily had felt ill and had to leave, which made Victoria nervous. Returning to Victoria, I helped her touch up her makeup and fix her hair. We then proceeded with the wedding as planned, the religious ceremony, followed by the civil ceremony, and then the reception. I noticed Victor scanning the bridesmaids a few times, probably looking for Emily, but I kept quiet. Once we arrived at the reception venue and everyone was seated, the bride and groom were presented, and the meal began. After the meal, when it was time for the toasts, Victoria stood up, ready to drop another bombshell. She asked me for a small gift box she had prepared earlier. "Thank you all for being here today to celebrate with Victor and me," she began, her voice steady. "As some of you may have noticed, one of my bridesmaids, Emily, is not here right now. At the mention of Emily's name, Victor's smile disappeared. I don't want her absence to ruin our celebration, Victoria continued. I have a little surprise for my husband, Victor. She handed him the small box. His hands were trembling as he opened it, revealing a pair of baby shoes. The crowd initially lit up, thinking Victoria was announcing her own pregnancy. However, Victor turned as pale as a ghost. And I want to congratulate him, Victoria said, her voice filled with a mix of sadness and resolve. Because even though I won't become a mother, he is going to become a father. To Emily's baby. The room fell into a stunned silence as the gravity of her words sank in. We didn't stick around to witness the aftermath. Instead, we made a quick exit through the kitchen, jumped into Jack's car, and left. Victoria wasted no time, sending screenshots of her conversation with Emily to various family and work group chats. Now, we're in a different city, in the next state over. We've sent messages to our families letting them know we're safe, and then we turned off our phones. Only time will tell what tomorrow and the next week will bring. Fortunately, Victoria was able to uncover the infidelity before she and Victor tied the knot, which undoubtedly saved her from a much more complicated and challenging situation had they gone through with the marriage. Discovering the truth about Victor's betrayal allowed Victoria to make an informed decision about her future, sparing her from the potential heartbreak and turmoil that would have ensued had she been unaware of his unfaithfulness. By uncovering the cheating before the wedding, Victoria was able to take control of the situation and protect herself from further pain and deception. This revelation served as a turning point in her life, empowering her to confront Victor and confront her own emotions, ultimately leading to a decision that prioritized her own happiness and well-being. Little did I know that beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect marriage, hidden secrets lurked. As I stumbled upon a revelation about my husband's undisclosed relationship with a man, questions flooded my mind. What else was he hiding? Did I truly know the man I had married? Here's how it all went down. My husband is 31 years old, and I'm 29 years old. We have been together for almost 4 years and married for 2 years. We did not know each other prior to 4 years ago. We didn't grow up together, go to school together, or have any previous connection. We live in a fairly large city. By coincidence, I now work with a woman who went to college with my husband. They were friends during college but didn't really stay in touch after graduation. I have been working with her for about 2 months before we realized that she used to know my husband. Now we have been working together for slightly less than a year. Last week we were talking about birthdays and Halloween plans and how as adults we rarely go out or do anything special for these occasions. However, when we were younger, we always had multiple parties to attend. We were sharing some funny party stories, and she mentioned something about my husband. Apparently, he was friends with a group of gay people, but he also had another more conservative and preppy group of friends who didn't associate with the gay group. He's the type of person who can be friends with anyone. She mentioned he was one of the most sexually confused men I've ever met. I sort of always knew he'd ultimately end up with a woman, but our hearts were when we found out he was dating that guy. I just laughed along, pretending I understood what she meant, but in reality, I had no clue. Sure, he has gay friends now, but that doesn't mean anything. He never mentioned dating men before, not at all. First, let me acknowledge that I feel bad for being bothered by this. It shouldn't bother me. Who cares if he's dated men, women, or non-binary people? I was surprised by how much it did bother me, though. But more than anything, I was upset that he didn't tell me. Why would he hide it from me? I don't understand why he felt the need to keep it a secret. I keep wanting to bring it up with him, but it feels awkward. Obviously, he doesn't want me to know for some reason. I don't want to embarrass him or make him uncomfortable because my coworker shared this with me. I wonder if he's been anxious all this time, worried that she might reveal this information. But really, why would this topic come up in our usual conversations? She and I don't even work in the same department, so we only talk occasionally when we collaborate on projects. Adding this info for clarity. We are married, not dating. He's my husband. We've been together for 4 years, married 2. He's 31, I'm 29. I decided it was time to have an open and honest conversation with my husband about the comments my coworker, who used to be a friend of his in college, had shared with me. She had mentioned something about him being sexually confused and having dated a guy back in college. I was careful to approach the topic gently, as I didn't want to come across as accusatory. I just wanted to understand and get some clarity on the situation. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something, I began, trying to keep my tone neutral. You don't have to share anything if you're not ready, but something came up at work, and it caught me off guard. I paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. A coworker of mine, who you went to college with, mentioned that you might have dated a guy back then. I'm not upset about the idea of it, but I'm just wondering why you never mentioned it to me. He sat there in silence for a moment, seemingly gathering his thoughts. Finally, he looked up and confirmed that it was true. I understand that we all have pasts, and we're not obligated to share every single detail, I said, trying to reassure him. But this seems like something significant, and I can't help but wonder why you felt like you couldn't share it with me. He He admitted that he had intentionally kept it from me, explaining that he had lost girlfriends in the past because of it, and he had gotten into the habit of not mentioning it. He also shared that by the time he felt comfortable enough to bring it up, he thought it was too late, and that it would be strange to do so. "I was worried that you might lose attraction to me," he confessed, looking down. "I know you prefer masculine men and like being dominated, and I thought that sharing this part of my past might change how you see me." I couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt wash over me. Had I done something to make him feel like he couldn't be completely open with me? "I wish you had felt like you could share this with me," I told him softly. "I love you for who you are, and this doesn't change anything." I decided to ask him one more question. "If you're comfortable sharing, was it just one guy, or were there others? Do you identify as bisexual?" He took a moment before responding. "I don't think I'm ready to share all the details right now, but I do think I'm bisexual. I'm not confused about my sexuality. I'm attracted to both men and women, but I love you, and I only want to be with you. I haven't been cheating on you or anything like that." He dated 2 guys years ago and had sexual experiences with them. He is also engaged in other sexual activities with different guys, but not since we've been together. He mentioned this because I asked, and he won't lie about it, but he doesn't want to go into detail right now. Maybe he will later, but he asked me not to press him about it. He apologized for not telling me, but he doesn't need to be sorry. I don't think he was trying to deceive me. Again, I know this was never really about me. Now he feels guilty because this isn't how he wanted me to find out about any of it. He believes that regardless of what I say, things will be awkward between us now. Maybe they will be. I don't know. It definitely feels that way at the moment. We haven't even spent much time together since this conversation, only passing each other and barely speaking. It seems like he doesn't want to be near me at all. I had to ask him, I just needed to hear it from him, but now I'm starting to feel like I should have never brought it up. Hey, we all have secrets, but sometimes certain secrets can't be kept forever. It's important to be honest with our partners, especially when we plan to be together forever. Keeping secrets can create a barrier between us, preventing us from truly connecting and understanding each other. By being open and transparent, we can build trust and strengthen our relationship. In this situation, it's understandable that you were taken aback by the revelation of your husband's undisclosed relationship with a man. It's natural to have questions and emotions about it. However, it's important to approach the conversation with empathy and understanding. Encourage open communication and let your husband know that you're there to listen and support him. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.